More than a dozen journalists and academics from Israel and the wider Arab world, including some nations with no official ties at all to Israel, took part in an online session to discuss the role of the media in helping forge peace in the Middle East. It was a 2-hour Arab-Israeli online session organized by the Arab Council for Regional Integration. Bahrain, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Sudan were represented, and other countries as well. With me now is Ahdeya al-Sayed, who is the president of the Bahrain Journalists Association. Thank you so much for being with us. Bahrain has just made peace with Israel, normalized ties. You were able to speak with Israeli colleagues across the Gulf. What did you learn from speaking with Israelis, and what do you think you have a common interest in together?
Thank you very much for this great question. Of course, this meeting was an opportunity for us to listen to each other. From today onwards, we as journalists from both countries, from Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, together with our colleagues, journalists in Israel, we can help build bridges among people. Now, on the official level, this peace agreement has been signed, but I see a very positive reaction from people in Bahrain that they want these relationships to be on the public level among people. And I think as journalists, we have a very important mission. First of all, we need to combat any hate statements from any side. We need to work on having a unified message that as a fourth state will enable us to have an impact on public opinion. So the next phase is going to be about us, about the role we are going to play in bringing people together and having a peace agreement that is on the level of the relationship among people of two countries. If we are going to advocate for human rights, let's advocate for human rights in the right way. Israeli people also have been feeling isolated from other countries in the world. Today we are telling through other journalists, our colleagues, that they are no more in isolation. They are our friends. This has become official. But on the public level, we as journalists are going to make it happen among people.
There is still, right, this taboo about speaking positive about Israel or Israelis in many ways, to promote Israeli culture or entertainment or tourism, the tourist attractions of the country. How do you kind of fight against the taboo you mentioned with the public, with ordinary families who grew up with preconceived stereotypes?
Well, let me explain the difference between Bahrain and some other countries. And if we speak about Bahrain and the UAE, if you may allow me, the countries that are moderately liberal and pragmatic and are open-minded don't have problems with people from other nationalities or religions. Bahrain has embraced the Jewish community, the Catholic community, different communities. So we have never had a problem when it comes to other religions or other nationalities. We never had a problem with Israel. But today we can officially become friends and have open doors among each other. So no, there will be people who are going to be threaten us. We have faced these threats on social media. They want to stop us from going ahead with what we believe in. But this is not going to stop, because we know who doesn't want us to move forward. Obviously, people who don't want us to move forward with Israel are, let me just categorize them, either people who are loyal to Hezbollah, follow the Iranian regime, are part of the Muslim Brotherhood, all branded as terrorist entities. So we have these people, and then we have other people who have been emotional for years. For 70 years, they have been emotional about the Palestinian cause, and emotions don't reap any good results. Today, we want to sit and talk with each other. The world has changed, so why allow false slogans to control us? Today, we want the slogans that we have raised about human rights to be applied, and this is what we're going to do. As journalists, yes, we are going to face challenges. I'm one of the people who have been bullied on social media, who have faced many problems with people harassing me, but this does not stop me from doing what I'm doing, because I believe in my country. I believe in my country's relations with Israel and what it can do for the region. So no, our journalists have a lot of courage. Our people are very welcoming, and anything negative that you see is just a point, a very small point compared to the majority of people who are welcoming this. Let's not forget that. And I always repeat that because I, as a Bahraini, I'm proud of it. I grew up in a Catholic church. I learned my Islam in a Catholic church. But within 1 kilometers of that area, I've seen a synagogue, I've seen temples, and this is not something that is newly born in Bahrain.
Yeah.
This has been there for hundreds of years. So people in Bahrain are welcoming.
Ahdeya, you mentioned you're a trailblazer. I mean, the first woman to be president of the Journalists Association, a prominent journalist in what is still a male-dominated industry. You mentioned trolls. I mean, that you are getting some harassment, some very negative messages directed your way because of your openness towards Israel and fighting for peace and normalization across the Middle East. What are those? What kind of messages are you getting, and do you bother to respond? Do you fight back?
I do not fight back because I have a bigger role to play. Instead of fighting back and answering and wasting my time defending my case or my cause, I have a cause I need to work on. So if I sit and read each and every statement made by people I know whose intentions isn't ever to embrace space, I will be wasting my time. And I do advise my colleagues. I've been in the world of press for 30 years. I have colleagues who are very close to me, and I always advise them never to waste a minute of their time into something that is useless. Take that time and use it into something that is beneficial. We have now something that we need to work on. We need to ignore all these threats, all the online trolling, all the online harassment, all the messages that we get, because we are true believers in what we are doing. And if we stick by our ethics and our principles, we're going to do this the right way. And I simply cannot care for people who want to stay where they have been for the past 70 years.
Beautiful.
My children, your children, everyone's children need a better future.
Beautiful message. Very well said. Ahdeya, thank you so much for being with us. I hope to see you here in Tel Aviv or in Jerusalem in the weeks to come. We'll be paying visits to Bahrain as well. Thank you so much.